Denver was the Siberia of the NFL in the late 60s. The Broncos were so terrible that the team was exiled by the media, and the players became prisoners in pro football's wasteland. One outcast was Rich Jackson, number 87, who was the focal point of every opposing offense, but never the focus of a television lens. The defensive end labored in obscurity, an anonymous Superman who destroyed everyone he faced. Jackson terrorized opponents and thrilled Bronco fans. He was as menacing as a clenched fist. And his bite was as bad as his bark, unlike some.
I'm Lyle Alzado of the Denver Broncos, and I'm mean, and I'm tough, and I'm the best defensive end pro football's ever seen. Me, Lyle Alzado.
I walked into training camp the first day and walked down the locker room and I had this tank top on. I was about 300 pounds and I strutted down the hallway there and I ripped off my clothes and I was putting my shoes on and I was thinking to myself, self, if anybody bothers me, anybody comes near me, I'm going to grab them right by the throat and let them know I'm here to play. So I'm down there tying my shoes, put my football shoes on, and a t-shirt dropped right on my shoe where I was tying my shoelaces. And I looked at that t-shirt and picked it up and I jumped up and there was this arm leaning across taking his shoe off, and on his bicep it was written Stonewall. So it was Stonewall. I jumped up and there was this guy with this Fu Manchu and he says, "Yeah, boys, anything I can do for you?" And I looked at him and then it's flashing in my mind. Stonewall, Tombstone Jackson, Rich Jackson. Oh my God. So I looked at that t-shirt and I looked him right in the face and those big brown eyes were glaring right at me and I looked at that t-shirt and I said, well, Mr. Jackson, would you like me to fold this for you?
He was called Tombstone, a name that symbolized the end of the line, the final resting place for quarterbacks and running backs. Where there was order, he created chaos, churning up firestorms in the pass pocket. This one-man gang built a justifiably frightening reputation for scaring both friend and foe alike.
I would imagine being on the same ball club, watching me do things that were somewhat extraordinary would strike fear in someone. At times I would look at films and at myself and I would conclude the same thing, that this guy is unreal.
No one could handle him. He was just that powerful. I've seen him pick tackles up and just throw them out of the way. Just devastate people. Once he got a hold of you, once he had his hands on you, it was over.
The thing that I liked about him, and why I would say he's one of the two greatest defensive ends I've ever seen, the other one being Deacon Jones.
David Deacon Jones played defensive end for the Rams and gobbled up publicity almost as fast as he swallowed up quarterbacks. Playing in the same era, Jones stole Jackson's thunder, and some say pilfered his patented move as well.
I developed the thing they call a head slap, because anytime you go upside a man's head or a woman, then they have a tendency to blink their eyes or close their eyes, and that was all I needed.
The inventor of the head slap. I had the halo spinner. I had the bulldog moves. I come off the ball in the sprinter stance, low and hard. It's a matter of taking the left hand and throwing it up. And you go. Made a motion with my left hand to the side of the head. Oftentimes the quarterback is sitting there like ducks in a pond. I used another move, which I call a halo spinner. You come off of the head slap, come back inside up the pipe. By a double head slap, and it would boom, just like so. And that gave you a headache for the entire, you finished then, really.
He hit me the hardest of anybody that ever hit me side the head. And it was like a mule kicked me in the head when he hit me, you know. And you don't let an opponent know he hurt you But he hit me, all I could see was stars, and I could barely make it back to the huddle.
Boy, that thing would come up on the side of your head, either side, just knock you for a loop. It was like a Joe Frazier left hook, just stop you dead in your tracks.
To quarterbacks, the looming specter of Tombstone Jackson was a fearsome sight. Like Michael Myers in Halloween or Freddy Krueger in Nightmare on Elm Street, he was a horror from which there was no escape.
Oakland Raiders came into town and they were the powerhouse of the league. Him and Bob Brown were written up in the papers as the match of the century. Bob Brown didn't last 3 quarters with Rich. Rich had his nose bloodied and Bob Brown, the boomer, was on the ground and Rich was running over him and around him. And, I mean, Rich never had anybody that really could stop him.
I covered one game where he turned the game himself and he destroyed a player's career. This was a young offensive tackle the Jets had called Sam Walton, and he slapped him right on, slapped him right onto the bench, and he could split a helmet with that thing. And I remember after the game, Weed Eubank in the locker room, he was just talking to himself, and he said he made him look like one of those bobble-headed dolls that you put in the car. And you know, he was the kind of guy that could just turn a game by himself.
I was on one end and he was on the other, and I could hear Rich talking to the guy. You know, I'm gonna knock your head off. I'm coming, boy. Here I come, boy. Hear my footsteps. Stuff like that. And the tackle would be like this. He would stand there, and as the back would come, the back of his eyes would get this big, and Rich would just knock him right to the ground. It's pretty amazing.
The sad irony is that the final resting spot for the Tombstone will not be the Hall of Fame, for he is destined to be more a part of pro football's folklore than its recorded history.
He's one of the players, and some have come through professional football that were truly great, but will only get the recognition of being truly great from their peers and only in memory. But Richard Jackson was one of the great players in the National Football League.